Welcome back to the channel, and this week I have some explaining to do.
It's been over 3 months since I've last seen you guys here on YouTube, so let's break down why.
My YouTube viewership was at an all-time high. I was gaining subscribers left and right, but then on Sunday, March 9th, I posted a video that got over 21,000 views in 24 hours, which was an all-time record for my channel. I won over 2,200 in that vlog and was on a 9-session win streak, resulting in a $4,200 upswing. Things were looking amazing, but then out of nowhere I got hit with another strike and the video got taken down. I had no clue what violation I committed and was offered no help in fixing the problem. All they tell you is that you violate community guidelines but give zero reasoning. So I spent the entire next week trying to appeal the decision, but my appeal got denied within minutes, so I officially had 2 strikes on my channel. If you get 3 strikes within 90 days, then you're gone for good. Your channel gets terminated and it's gone forever. Since I didn't even know what I did wrong in the last video and still received a strike, I felt like posting before the 90-day grace period was up would be way too big of a risk and not a wise play. So I logged out of the app and haven't touched it since that day. Even though I wasn't posting, I still decided to keep playing poker. If you guys have watched any of my videos in 2025, you know that I have one main goal: make $25 an hour while playing the same amount of hours at both 1-2 and 1-3. After that amazing run in the deleted video that 21,000 of you saw, where I made over $2,200 in just 5.5 hours of play, here's where our results stood in 2025 through the first week of March. We were up $2,650 even and had an hourly win rate of $53.54. I was obviously super happy with these results since we were over double our goal, but variance was on our side and the deck was hitting us hard. We kept grinding it out on the felt, and instead of just telling you guys how I did the last 3 months, I decided to bring you along for the journey. I continued making vlogs throughout the 90-day period, and in order to catch you guys up, I'll be releasing a video every Wednesday and Sunday at 9 a.m. I'm excited to be posting content again and keeping you guys in the loop throughout my entire poker journey. Now that we got all that cleared up, the goal for this week is simple. Try and keep this ridiculous winning streak going and book 10 winning sessions in a row for the first time in my poker career. Let's see if we could pull it off by heading out to the nicest card room in Northern California, which is none other than Stone's Gambling Hall. We buy into the 1-2 game for the max of $300, and action gets started just a few minutes in the session. In our first hand of the day, Under the Gun opens the action to $10, player in early position calls, and I'm in the small blind and look down at the beautiful Queen Jack of Spades. Against tighter players, this is probably just a call, but the player under the gun has a super wide opening range from any position, plus the player in early position can't be too strong since he just called pre-flop. So I decided to put in a 3-bet with a very playable hand. I make it $45 to go and just get action from the original raiser. With exactly $100 in the pot, the flop comes out slightly above average and Jack Deuce with 2 diamonds giving us trips. Could start off with a check, but I think there's still value to be had from his entire range. If he had a pocket pair, he's definitely not folding yet, and if he had a hand like Ace King or Ace Queen, I think it's possible he floats if I bet small enough. So I start off with a value bet of just $25, and he flicks in the call pretty quickly. Going to a turn with $150 in the middle and peels off the 9 of spades, which shouldn't change too much. Since there's a flush draw out there, and our opponent has less than a pot-sized bet left in his stack, I decide to put him all in, hoping he calls it off with a big flush draw or a pocket pair. Without much thought, he quickly folds, so I think he just had overcards to the board. First pot of the day gets pushed right to where it belongs, and we're off to a great start. Next hand up occurs just a few orbits later. I throw in the $4 straddle for this hand, and the same player from last hand opens the action to $10 in early position. Folds to me in the straddle, and I look down at King Queen of clubs. Could just call for $6 more, but what's the fun in that? I consider this hand to be a premium, and it's easy to play post flop, so I decide to put in another 3-bet and make it $40 to go. Original raiser calls, so we're going heads up to a flop with $80 in the middle of 8-6-3 with 2 hearts, giving us king high and a dream. I really don't like checking in 3-bet pots, so just like last hand, I start off with a quarter pot size bet of $20. When stacks aren't too deep, I like betting this size with both bluffs and value, so I'm not easy to read. He quickly puts in the call, so we're going to a turn and it peels off the beautiful queen of diamonds, giving us top pair second best kicker. There's 120 in the pot, and our opponent has about 150 left in his stack. I could bet small and try and go for 3 streets of value, but that would give his flush draws too good of a price to continue. Or I could just go all in, which looks super bluffy, and since I did it last hand without showing, he might think I'm just full of shit. So I decide on the latter and just go all in. He goes in the tank for a bit, but eventually ends up putting in the call. The pot has ballooned to $410, which is pretty massive for 1-2. I turn over my hand face up like I always do when I'm all in. He shows ace jack of hearts for the nut flush draw, and all we have to do is fade a heart or an ace, and we'll be up piles. The dealer burns a card and puts out the biggest blank in the deck and the deuce of spades, giving us the winner. After fading the 12 outer, I just got one thing to say.
Tell him to bring me my money.
At this point in the session, we're up over $280 and looking to keep things rolling. For this next hand, I'm in the small blind and 4 people call the $2 before action's on me and I look down at pocket tens. If you've watched some of my videos early on in the year, you know that this hand has cost me hundreds of dollars in profit because I couldn't win with it if my life depended on it. So let's try to turn that around. When you're in the small blind, which is the worst position possible, it's important to raise big with your good hands because you don't want to play in a super multi-way pot out of position. So I raise the price of poker to $20 and just get called from one early position player and another in middle position. Going 3 ways to a flop of 998 with 2 hearts, giving us the overpair. With $60 in the middle, I start off with a value bet of $25 to target all the smaller pairs as well as the flush and straight draws. Both players toss their hands in the muck. Easy $40 of profit, and we finally win a pot with this hand for once. Next hand up is probably my favorite of the day. A solid tight player in early position puts in a raise to $7. He has a tighter opening range than most, so I'm putting him on a pretty strong holding. The small blind calls a $7, and I'm in the big blind and look down at ace-4 of hearts. Easy hand to defend with, so I put in the extra $5, and we're going 3 ways to a flop of 6-4-3 with 2 diamonds, giving us middle pair and a backdoor flush draw. Small blind and I check it over to the pre-flop raiser, and he continues the aggression with a bet of $11. Small blind gets out of the way, and now I think it's easy to range our opponent. A hand like ace jack or ace king is never c-betting this board unless it's specifically diamonds and they have the nut flush draw, so our opponent's hand is most likely an overpair. Even though we're behind, we still have plenty of turn cards that could help us improve, so I put in the call and see what develops. Pot's now increased to $45. We're going heads up to a turn, which peels off the 5 of hearts, giving any 7 or deuce a straight and giving us the nut flush draw. Even though we're sitting here with just third pair, I think this is a perfect card to bluff with. We already determined he most likely has us beat with an overpair, and this turn is such a scare card to any one pair holding. So I put our opponent to the test and throw out a bet of $35. Without much hesitation, he folds black pocket jacks face up, and we take down this decent little pot with the worst hand. Whenever you're in a hand, it's super important to think about your opponent's range the entire time because it'll be a lot easier to navigate your post-flop decisions. So far, the session is off to an amazing start, and hopefully getting dealt ace-jack is going to keep our momentum going. After 2 limps, I raise it up to $15 and end up getting called by 3 other players. Pot's now up to $60, and the flop isn't great when it peels off 6-3 deuce with 2 diamonds, giving us just 2 overcards. Instead of checking, the small blind decides to take the betting lead and throws out a bet of $20. He's a tighter player, so usually this means they're super nutted or they're trying to protect a vulnerable overpair like 7s, 8s, or 9s. Folds over to me, and the obvious play would just be to fold in this spot, but there's plenty of turn cards I could work with to try and win this pot. If an ace or a jack hits, I could have the best hand. If a scare card like a king or queen comes, I could put all those pocket pairs in a tough spot with a bluff, or if a diamond hits, I could rep the nut flush since I have the ace of diamonds blocker. So I call the $20 bet to see what develops, and the turn peels off the queen of hearts. I was expecting our opponent to check, but instead he continues the aggression for $40. With this specific player, I don't think there's a world where he's still betting a hand like pocket sevens in this spot, so now I'm putting him on 2 pair, a set, or a straight, and not much else. Easy decision now, so I just toss my hand in the muck and live to see another day. Just thought I'd show you guys this hand because it's important to try and win every single pot you're involved in. Sometimes you have to be creative in how you're going to do so. Then when the plan doesn't work out, just limit your losses and try again later. Next hand up, I'm in the big blind and look down at the hideous 10-4 offsuit. 4 people just called the $2, so when action's on me, I obviously check my option. We go 5 ways to a flop of 10-10-7 with 2 diamonds giving us trips with a horrible kicker. Small blind takes the betting lead and throws out a bet of $8. Could raise at this point, but I could easily be outkicked and I don't want to give him a chance to fold a worse hand because that would be a nightmare, so I just put in the smooth call. Everyone else gets out of the way, so we're going heads up to a turn which peels off the 7 of hearts, putting 2 flush draws on the board and giving us a full house. Our opponent doesn't slow down and continues betting for $14. Once again, there's no point in raising just yet because I'm in position and have a lock on this hand. So I call once again, hoping our opponent can somehow connect with the river. With $45 in the pot, the river peels off the ace of clubs, which I was a big fan of. A lot of players bluff with ace high on a double paired board, or semi-bluff with ace high flush draws, so we easily could have hit top pair. For the 3rd straight time, our opponent throws out another bet, but upping the size to $30 now. I'm putting him on a 10 for a chop, a 7, or an ace, not much else at this point. I don't think a 7 or an ace can call too big of a raise, so I basically min click our opponent to $65. It looks like he's hating life. After tanking for a bit, he eventually says how he's making a horrible call and puts in the chips. I turn over our hand and he mucks immediately, saying how he rivered an ace. I like how he didn't raise until the river because it kept him in the pot the entire way. For this hand, I throw in the $4 straddle, and 4 people just call the $4 before actions folded to me, and I look down at pocket 10s for the 2nd time today. Since I'm out of position, I like going really big since I think I should almost always have the best hand given the action. So I raise the price of poker to $35 and just get 1 caller from a player in early position. Going heads up to a flop with $80 in the pot of Jack 5 deuce with 2 clubs giving a 2nd pair. Not too concerned about this board just yet, so I throw out a standard value bet of $30 and our opponent folds immediately. If we're winning with this hand twice in one session, then you know the run good is real. We went card dead for the next few orbits, so our stack is sitting at $600 even, and anytime you could double your buy-in, it's always a nice accomplishment. In this hand, I look down at ace-jack offsuit and raise the price of poker to my standard size of $10. Cutoff puts in the call, and now the button puts in a super small 3-bet to 22. Ace-jack offsuit is a horrible hand to defend with against the 3-bet, especially against a tight player, but I only have to call $12 more to see a flop, and I'm just never folding in this spot for that price. So I put in the extra chips, and surprisingly the cutoff gets out of the way. With $55 in the pot, the flop comes out above average and Jack 8-7 all spades, giving us top pair top kicker with a nut flush draw. I check in flow, and now our opponent throws out a c-bet of $25. This opponent is just never bluffing in this spot, and ace-king wouldn't bet this board without the ace of spades, and it's impossible for them to have it since I'm holding it in my hand, so I'm 100% confident this player has an overpair. I could raise and flip for stacks given our equity against almost any holding, but I'm never a fan of trying to get people to fold in 3-bet pots or coin flip for stacks. So I proceed with caution and just put in the call for the $25. Pot's now up to 105, and the turn is a beautiful ace of hearts giving us top 2 pair. I check in flow for a 2nd time, and now our opponent checks it back. I think he most likely has kings or queens given the action because the ace seemed to have scared him. Now going to a river which comes out a complete blank and the deuce of clubs, which shouldn't change anything. Since I'm mainly putting him on kings or queens, I think a small bet is the best play to try and get looked up light. So I throw out a value bet of $30, and I was expecting a quick call by our opponent, but instead he puts in a raise to $100 even. I was in shock after this raise because I was super convinced he had kings or queens, but now I'm debating if he slow played a set and has us crushed. I take a quick moment, I wonder if raising in my position accomplishes anything, and I honestly think it doesn't. A worse hand is never calling a raise, so I'd only get action by better hands, which is never a good idea. Folding is also out of the question, so I settle on a call not knowing what to expect. Surprisingly, our opponent rolls over pocket kings, which is one of the two hands we put him on, and our two pairs best. Very surprised at that river raise by our opponent in that spot with kings, but no complaint here as we scoop in a very sizable pot. If you thought that hand was crazy, just wait for this one. I decided to throw the $4 straddle on once again, and a player in early position opens the action to $15. Small blind puts in the call, and I look down at the best hand ever created in pocket aces. Since I'm out of position and we're playing over 150 big blinds effective, it's time to size up. I make it $70 to go, and with zero hesitation at all, our opponent wastes no time before going all in for his entire stack of 300. Small blind folds, and now I have the easiest call of my life. If I win this pot, I'll have well over $1,000 in my stack, which is insane for a capped 1-2 game. Flop seems pretty clean when it comes out 10-8-6 with 2 clubs, since he should never have a set on this flop. Turn 4 of clubs shouldn't change anything except give me the nut flush draw, which is an added bonus. Hoping for a club on the river to guarantee we win this pot, but it peels off the king of diamonds, which I wasn't really a fan of because pocket kings is a likely holding. But after seeing the river, our opponent proudly rolls over red pocket aces, and unfortunately we're chopping despite having a free roll after that amazing turn card. A lot of people will say they don't want to win like that, but when it comes to poker, I'll take any dollar I could get my hands on. We played for a bit longer, but went card dead the rest of the session, so let's get to the outro.
For the first time in my 5-year poker career, we finally booked a win in 10 straight sessions. In for the original 300, and out for 788 for a solid $488 win.
This was the only session we played this week because we had a lot of personal stuff to get done, so we made $488 in 2 hours and 35 minutes for an hourly win rate of $188.90. Now let's talk about our 1-2 stats in 2025. With this session, we increased our profit to $1,518 in 27 hours and 20 minutes of play for an hourly win rate of $55.54. As for 1-3, we've profited $1,620 in 24 hours and 45 minutes of play for an hourly win rate of $65.45. If you combine the numbers from those two stakes, we're sitting pretty in 2025. After playing 52 hours and 5 minutes of live poker, we've profited $3,138 for a ridiculous hourly win rate of $60.25. I guess winning 10 sessions in a row might have boosted that number up a bit, but no complaints here. Next vlog will be posted on Wednesday, unless I somehow get another strike, so keep an eye out for it. Thanks for watching, and as always, I hope you guys run good at the tables, and I'd appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button to help me reach my year-end goal of 20,000 subscribers.